Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to BCP Live, a presentation of the Bryan County Patriot. Hi, I'm Joey McWilliams, and I am very glad that you are with me tonight. I always like to say it's good to see you, but I can't see you. So hopefully that we'll just enjoy some time together tonight. It is day 20 of not a lockdown, but a shutdown. And I can already feel my voice being what it has been today. So bear with me. I'll probably be doing this 2 or 3 times to make sure I can make it through tonight. So anyway, day 20 of not a lockdown. It is a shutdown, and that may be coming to an end sometime soon. Of course, we do know that the state mandate says we're going to go through at least April 30th into May 1st, possibly even into May 2nd. But we'll see how it all turns out. I know there's been some news about that on the national level today, but we're going to try to stick with some of the things that are a little bit closer to home today for the most part. I don't know. We'll see. We do need to pick up where we left off last night. And last night's show came to an end a little bit more quickly maybe than I had wanted it to, as there were some things in the comments section that came along, and I really wasn't prepared for that. Maybe I should have been. I don't know. But things that were posted there that were not suitable for work, honestly, not suitable for, mature human beings or even immature human beings. My goodness. But anyway, so we brought it to a little bit more of a quick end last night. So we'll try to pick up a little bit of where we left off. Now, I did ask the question yesterday, and there was one person who had the right answer yesterday evening, and it was posted. So the question was, and we didn't get into it, so we'll get into that tonight. In the First Amendment, how many freedoms are provided for in the First Amendment? First Amendment, of course, to the Constitution of the United States. It's in the Bill of Rights. So how many freedoms are provided for there? Hi, Kristen. Glad you're here tonight. It's always good to see you pop up on the screen there. And hi to Susan as well. Thank you very much for being along for the ride tonight. All right. How many freedoms are provided for in the First Amendment? Well, we'll answer that a little bit later on. Time for you to give your answer in the comment section. And someone did get it right yesterday. So moving right along, I want to give some shout outs. And I will give a shout out to Robbie and the Friends of the Library. And by the way, Robbie shares the BCP live broadcast every so often, and I really appreciate that. She does a fantastic job, and so thanks to you, Robbie, for doing that. Friends of the Library, I do want to give a shout out to all of our advertisers and sponsors for the Bryan County Patriot, because again, without you, we could not do what we do, and we're trying to get a lot done. And you know what? This site has grown. It has grown a lot, even during this time of crisis. And so I want to throw that one out there. I appreciate you all for being a part of it. I can't grow without you, and so I'm very thankful for you. So shout out to Robbie and the Friends of the Library. I want to give a shout out to Quentin and the folks at Firehouse Subs, as well as Andrea, folks at KFC here in Durant. Thank you to you all for being sponsors. I have a couple of answers that are up right now, and I will tell you before even we get to our First Amendment segment, you're right. 5 freedoms provided for in the First Amendment. And so if you were in my journalism class, any one of those 3 years that I taught journalism at Durant High School, you know the answer to that too. Shout out to Jacelyn tonight. Hi, Jace. Nice to see you. And Dawn Hyde. Dawn, all right. This week, got to come back this week. So we'll set it up for you to be on, because I always enjoy having you on. And man, you've been burning up the Facebook hours anyway lately. So shout out to Kenny. Shout out to Brent as well. Thanks, guys, for stopping by tonight. Kenny, I am going to take you up on what you said about Facebook. We'll get to that in just a moment. No, the answer was not Kenny Rogers. Anyway. All right, so where are we here? Okay, Bryan County Health Department, let me remind you, if you need to be tested, the Bryan County Health Department is still doing curbside testing. It's by appointment only, and I think most everyone can say it with me now, 580-924-4285, 580-924-4285. You need to call that number and make an appointment. So Yeah, Don, I need to have you on there. Brent, always glad that you're online with us tonight. Really appreciate that. And Carmen, I hope I said that name right. Carmen, thanks. You're right by with the answer is 5. And hey, Jace, love you too. All right. So I did mention before obituaries are free, and we're going to talk about that a couple more times. I think you're on the show too, but we do see it as a community service, and that is a definite thing we want to get out. And I know even today, with some of the obituaries that were posted today, a lot of traffic on the site. Very sad situation with a vehicle accident in Bennington over the weekend, and it was a positive, I believe, to get to share someone's life and get to do that. We want to do those things for free and get that out there and hopefully be a blessing for people. All right, Carmen, I did it right. So good deal. Hi, Lori. Glad you're with us tonight. Robert as well. Thanks for watching. No headlines tonight. We have a few other things to talk about. Let's go back to where we left off last night really quickly. And then we're going to get something interesting a little bit later on. Yes, I am flying solo tonight. No guest tonight. I did feel like there was enough that I needed to cover to catch up on everything. So let's go ahead and get to that right now. It was asked if we would talk about who's running for state office. And so let's bring that up there really quickly. This is posted. If it will come up there. Where are we? There we go. This is posted on the Bryan County Patriot website. So here are those folks who are running for United States Senator. Of course, Senator Inhofe is the incumbent. 4 Democrats running for U.S. Senator. This is in the election, by the way, in November. So you have a little time to think and pray about this and make your decisions. There are 3 Republican challengers for Senator Inhofe, 1 Libertarian, 2 Independents running for U.S. Senate office. Running for the District 2 United States Representative, and this is an election that happens every 2 years. Our representatives, Mark Wayne Mullen is the incumbent. He has 2 Republican challengers, 1 Democrat challenger, and 1 Libertarian. Now, for some state offices here, both of these state representatives, both Representative Humphrey, whose territory goes into Bryan County just a little bit, and then Representative Dustin Roberts, who has a lot of Bryan County in his territory. Well, make sure our internet's running properly there. Okay, those 2 are going to run unopposed. So we get to Bryan County offices right here, and Bryan County clerk and Bryan County court clerk. And both of those are running unopposed. That's what I'm saying. My internet's a little sketchy here. Let's go back up here really quickly. There we go. So here's where we have some races. In Bryan County Commissioner, number 2, the 2nd District of Bryan County Commissioner, Tony Simmons is the incumbent, and Billy Adams is running against him. Then for Sheriff, Johnny Christian is the current sheriff, and Charles Boucher and Steve Neighbors, both Republicans. So on that, probably will be taken care of in the primary then as to who will win that office of Bryan County Sheriff. So that is what is going on right there. I was asked to post those, and that's on the Bryan County Patriot website, bryancountypatriot.com right now. If you wanted to look that up and go over those names again, have something to figure that out. All right, let's see. Where are we here? Okay, that's the next thing I wanted to bring up. Speaking of Kenny Gardner, let's just look right here. He has a fundraiser going on for Boots on the Ground. And look at this. This is what is happening. I got to tell you, this Boots on the Ground, this is an organization that is doing all kinds of phenomenal things. And here's the fundraiser. So I'm going to shoot you to the website right here. Here's the Facebook page. And the fundraiser is supplying elderly and disabled during COVID-19 pandemic. There I said it, COVID-19, coronavirus, and just got kicked off of YouTube. So anyway, there we go. We're still on Facebook right now. He's raising money, and as you can see right here, you can read it all. We're raising money, or excuse me, Kenny and the Boots on the Ground group raising money for the homeless community with basic items needed for survival. Now, the goal is $2,500. $1,455 of that has already been raised. That's just a little bit more than $1,000 left, $1,045 to get to the goal. And that's one of those things that could be surpassed. So keep that in mind. Here again, let's look at the name of the Facebook page one more time so you can go to this. This is a fundraiser supplying elderly and disabled during COVID-19 pandemic. So there you go. That's easily enough followed right there, right? Okay. And I lost my internet just a little bit there, trying to keep up with things. I just don't want to have happen what we had happen last night. So I'm trying to keep up to speed on everything and make sure that I've got a good handle on this. By the way, while I'm thinking about then, let me ask you this. If anyone is interested in being a moderator, maybe looking into moderators now for this BCP live broadcast. So just something to keep in mind along the way. All right, we'll take that back down and move on to the next thing. What is the next thing on the list? We were talking about Michigan last night, and Governor Whitmer pretty much adding to an executive order. And I'm not going to say that she went too far, but I'll leave that up to you. We talked about this, a temporary requirement to suspend activities that are not necessary to sustain or protect life. And among those things, recarpeting your flooring, you can't do that during your time off. Buying furniture, you can't do that during your time off. Going to garden centers and buying seeds or plants, you can't do that during your time off. Or painting, you can't do that during your time off either. So there you go. Is that too far? I think that might be a little bit too far. All right. Does moderator get to boss people around? You know what? You're already the constabulary around here. I think you get to boss people around enough. Hey, Jason, yes, you're right. I could have had you on. We'll look to that another time. Think about that, though. At least we're not living in Michigan right now. We can still buy seeds. And it was pointed out last night that we could buy the seeds for them down here in Oklahoma and send them back up to Michigan. So there we go. That's something that's there. Thanks, Susan. I appreciate it. It's a good number, and hopefully we can grow with that. I did mention also yesterday two other things, and we'll get into today's things. South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem announced yesterday that they were performing statewide clinical trials on hydroxychloroquine, and that was on a state level. So they're going to be testing that there and seeing what they can do. Obviously, if the governor is promoting this, this is something that she feels like that the folks in her state can do, and it would be good for them. So that's in South Dakota. We'll continue watching that. I did mention yesterday, and this is where things kind of went sideways yesterday, vaccinations. Now, I know Bill Gates is pushing a lot towards vaccinations, and I don't know. I mentioned this last week. I don't know that I want to talk about vaccinations with someone who has gone on record many, many times as being someone who wants to control the population. There we go. The population of the planet is too big, and we need to put some stops to it. So with that in mind, I don't know that I want Bill Gates in control of my vaccinations. Just saying. I mean, you may think otherwise. That's fine. Just throwing that one out there. However, we may come to the point in the near future, because we're going to be going to events sometime soon. We are coming out of this situation. We're coming out of this situation. I don't know if it's tomorrow or if it's next week or if it's April or May 1st or whatever the case may be. We're coming out of this, but what are we coming into? Will we get to watch sports again? Will we get to go to sporting events again? Yes, I'm talking sports because I'm a sports guy, but will we get to do that again? And if so, how will we do that? There are folks who are saying that you might have to have some kind of card to show that you've been vaccinated. Do you want to take a vaccination card to a sporting event? Hi, here's my $10. I want to go watch some basketball. Oh, and by the way, here's my card. You know, maybe they used to say, here's your sign. I don't know if that's the case or not. No. We can make it easy for you. See, we can put a little chip in the vaccination, and we can make sure that that's in you when you get vaccinated, so you can have a little microchip in you. I don't think so, Tim. Or we can put something in the little tattoo. We can tattoo you and put something in the ink, and that way that you can show that you've been tattooed, or there's your card. Just show this little sign with this little tattoo. I don't think so, Tim. Now, maybe you're for it, but I don't think that's something that I'm necessarily for. So we did wind up talking about vitamin D yesterday, and vitamin D, hey, it was a good day to get some vitamin D today. It was chilly. I mean, you definitely want to cover up a little bit, but I didn't cover this up. I got my vitamin D came in through here. So there it is, looking all nice and pretty there. So anyway, and yes, Don, I make this look good. I think. All right. We're going to get to the First Amendment in just a moment. I did want to throw something out there because we were talking about this the other day. So let's bring in a screen here that we were talking about. So this is where some people are going to say it's conspiracy theory time. So let's just go ahead and get it out there. All right. I was talking about fractions and ratios. Now, this was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was talking about how these ratios come up as to how you get a mortality rate. So if there's a 2% mortality rate, you're looking at the fractions there. So 2 out of 100, if 2 people died out of 100 people that were tested positive for COVID-19, if 2 people died from COVID-19, and this is where it's key, that were tested positive out of 100 that were tested positive for COVID-19, that's a 2% mortality rate. By the way, let me just ask this. If it's a mortality rate, if it's a 2% mortality rate, does that mean it's a 98% immortality rate? I don't know if is that how you say that? I don't think that's how you say that. Anyway, so we're looking at the fraction here, okay? So how do you make that number bigger? Well, you either make the number on top bigger or you make the number on bottom smaller. So how do you make that ratio a smaller number? Well, you either make the number on top smaller or you make the number on bottom bigger. I'm going to submit to you that we were talking about that the death rate or the mortality rate for COVID-19, when we were talking about these fractions, that the number on top, well, it'll probably be right because they want to post all these things that are related to COVID-19. So that number on top is probably going, thank you, survival rate. Just a little humor along the way. But that number on top is probably going to be right, okay, because they're going to show how many people passed because of COVID-19, but the number on bottom may not be as big as it should be because how many people out there may have been infected in some way or another, but we don't know it because either they haven't been tested yet or whatever the case may be, so we don't know that number. So I submitted to you that the mortality rate was actually smaller than it should have been because the number on bottom should have been bigger. Tonight, I'm going to tell you that I think it should be smaller because I think the number on top should be smaller. And here's how. So all you folks that think I've got tinfoil that I'm ready to put on my head and go all conspiracy theory here, let me show you why. In doing the death certificates, and that's where this comes in, I did some study on this, and I'm going to show you where this comes from because you can all look it up on your own. This comes from the CDC website, the Center for Disease Control, from the CDC website. Okay, so we're going to bring this up right here, if we can. Can we bring it up? There we go. All right. We're going to bring this up right here and look. This is as of April 2nd. As of April 2nd, this is the directions to the folks who are taking care. These are the doctors and attending physicians that are taking care of the people who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 or who are simply in the hospitals. Now look at the conclusion here. And if you can't read this, I'm looking. Okay, see right here, this is where I am. I'm looking at the conclusion. I'm going to read this to you. An accurate count of the number of deaths due to COVID-19 infection, which depends in part on proper death certification, is critical to ongoing public health surveillance and response. When a death is due to COVID-19, it is likely the underlying cause of death, that's UCOD, underlying cause of death, and thus it should be reported on the lowest line used in Part 1 of the death certificate. And they do have some examples of what a death certificate looks like. Ideally, testing, now watch this and listen. Ideally, testing for COVID-19 should be conducted. But It is acceptable to report COVID-19 on a death certificate without this confirmation if the circumstances are compelling within a reasonable degree of certainty. Okay. It is ideally testing for COVID-19 should be conducted, but it's acceptable to report COVID-19 on the death certificate without this confirmation. I submit to you that most people will be honorable about this. I also submit to you that there are some who will not. Okay, let's continue. Let's look at another directive from the CDC, and I'm going to show you the website itself so that you can see this. You can take a look at this and know that I'm not making this up and I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. Ooh, I like that. That sounded good. Not trying to be conspiratorial. Okay. Is that a good word? You like that word? Okay. Hey, Brian. Yes, you're late again. That's all right. You're just getting in on the good part here. Okay. So this is from the CDC website, and let's scroll down so you can see exactly what this is. This is for introducing a new code for introducing COVID-19 deaths. Okay. And this is how you are supposed to certify. Will COVID-19 be the underlying cause? All right. Everyone see that? I'm going to go ahead and read that to you. If COVID-19 is the underlying cause, here we go. The underlying cause of death, UCOD, depends upon what and where conditions are reported on the death certificate. However, the rules for coding and selection the underlying cause of death are expected to result in COVID-19 being the underlying cause more often than not. Let's take that and let's look at it. Here we go. Let's get the glasses on so we can look and be serious. However, the rules for coding and selection the underlying cause are expected to result in COVID-19. They're expected to. You're expected to put this down. Let's go on. Read a little bit more here. What happens if the terms reported on the death certificate indicate uncertainty? If the death certificate reports terms such as quote unquote probable COVID-19 or quote unquote likely COVID-19, these terms would be assigned the new ICD code. It is not likely that the NCHS or the National Center for Health Statistics will follow up on these cases. If you put pending COVID-19 testing, if that's reported on the death certificate, this would be considered a pending record. In this scenario, NCHS would follow up. I didn't put that up there. There it is. I read the whole thing. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say in that. Let's look at that. If you put probable or likely, no one's going to follow it up. Okay, it's probably COVID-19. It's likely COVID-19. No one's going to do a follow-up on your work. If you put test is pending, someone has to go back and follow it up. So if it doesn't matter, if you want this number to grow, and if you're not sure because you've already been told right here, it's okay if you didn't have a positive testing if you think it's likely. Now, again, I will tell you, most people will be honorable with their testing. There are some who will not. And there are some who want this number to grow for whatever reason. I'll let you decide that. Let's go on. Should COVID-19, let's go down to this next one. Here we go. We're right here. Should COVID-19 be reported on the death certificate only with a confirmed test? And the answer is COVID-19 should be reported on the death certificate for all decedents where the disease caused or is assumed to have caused or contributed to death. Can I say that again on the big screen? COVID-19 should be reported on the death certificate for all decedents where the disease caused or is assumed to have caused or contributed to its death. Now, again, most people will act honorably. Most people will do this in an honorable manner. Some will not. And the CDC has now given license to, it doesn't matter. If you think it's COVID-19, if it looks like COVID-19, if you think it's COVID-19, that's what you ought to put. Well, now let's think about this for just a moment. What are the symptoms of COVID-19? Because this is important. It's important that people get this done properly. And I realize, folks are tuning in, tuning out. So I hope people stick around long enough to watch this for just a little bit longer. But we've been hearing, what do you do? If you think you have COVID-19, then you need to call the health department. You need to, if you have a fever, if you have shortness of breath, if you have coughing, a dry cough, if you are fatigued, the fever was a tough one, dry cough, fatigued. Let's see. If you have any of those symptoms, then you need to contact the health department so that you can be tested for COVID-19, right? Wait a minute. Hang on. Let's look at this really quickly. What are the symptoms for pneumonia? Well, there's chest pain. Yeah, that's what we talked about, that chest pain, a cough, fatigue, fever, shortness of breath. Folks, we just described pneumonia. According to the CDC, y'all liked it better when I had guests on here, right? According to the CDC, from March 14th through April 11th, I'm going to read this to you. I can link it to it a little bit later on. COVID-19 deaths, 8,191 deaths in the United States. Out of 157,485 total deaths in the United States, COVID-19 deaths resulted in 5.2% of all deaths in the United States. During this same span, pneumonia was the cause of 15,069 deaths out of 157,485 total deaths in the United States, accounting for 9.5% of all deaths in the United States. Pneumonia accounted for nearly 10% of all deaths in the United States in the last month. Where is the pneumonia panic? And the symptoms I just described to you that people might attribute to COVID-19 to be able to put on a death certificate are also those symptoms for pneumonia. Now, what does all this mean? I don't know. It's merely an observation. I'm just throwing it out there so you'll see that there is a lot going on, and conspiratorial is the word of the day. Thank you, Bryan. Yeah, there are a lot of assumptions out there. I agree, Carmen. There are a lot of assumptions. I just want you to think a little bit. So consider that this is out there. By the way, this is on the CDC website, the Centers for Disease Control. If you want to look this up on your own, this is on the CDC website. So please take the opportunity to look it up on your own. And I'm not hiding anything from anyone. My final observation for the night. Yeah, look it up, Bryan. My final observation for the night is this. Let's go back to the First Amendment for just a moment. See, it was a lot more fun when I had guests on. That's the thing. We laughed a lot more. I don't know if y'all are laughing at me. You may be laughing at me right now. I'm not sure. Where are my notes? First Amendment notes. Well, let's just do this then. I'll bring this up. Takes sometimes me a little bit to get the pictures up. Sorry. I haven't gotten it down to an art yet. There we go. First Amendment. If you said the First Amendment provides for 5 freedoms, you are correct. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So, 5 freedoms. Freedom of religion and to express it, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to peaceably assemble, and freedom to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In other words, if you're not happy with what the government's doing, you can get a petition together and you can push it forward and make sure it gets in front of the right people so that it can be taken before them and laws can be changed one way or the other. Okay, there you go. Let's start at the beginning. Freedom of religion. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion. Before we go any further, let me say really quickly, this is often called the Establishment Clause. And if you'll read this, this is taken directly from the text of the First Amendment. If you'll read this, do you see anywhere in there where it uses the words separation of church and state? I'm reading it. I don't find that. Often it's called the Establishment Clause, and the First Amendment talks about separation of church and state. No, the First Amendment does not talk about separation of church and state. The First Amendment talks about the fact that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. I don't want to get into the argument about separation of church and state right now. I just want to tell you that in front of you on that little graph or that graphic, it says nothing about separation of church and state. So anytime someone comes to you and says, well, the Establishment Clause or the First Amendment says separation of church and state. No, it does not. Now, that's an argument for another time, just showing you it doesn't say that. It says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. I would submit to you, even though that there is wisdom in not gathering together in a building, some of the free exercise thereof may have been tampered with a little bit. Now, I stayed at home. My family stayed at home. Most people in Oklahoma stayed at home on Sunday, even though it was Easter Sunday. Praise God for the 21st century in which we live right now, that we can have, church by way of the internet. But I don't think that's the way it should be all the time. And we should come through this and get to the other side. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Let's throw out this fourth one here really quickly. Or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. And I would submit to you, okay, even though there's wisdom in not gathering in large groups right now, and there is wisdom in not gathering in large groups right now, the right of the people to peaceably assemble, this may have been stepped on a little bit. So these are things just to think about, and I wanted to present this to you that is there, and understand that we do need to get to the other side of this. Economically, we need to get to the other side of this. But even through our Bill of Rights and our First Amendment freedoms, we need to get to the other side of this. And we are being tested right now, and that's where I left off yesterday. We are being tested right now. Hi, Dottie. Hi, Dee Dee. Thanks for coming on tonight. Appreciate that. Tammy, Brian, Marianne, thank you very much. Janice, nice to see you. Always nice to see you. Thanks, Fu, for being here. If you're still watching, let me tell you, we are being tested right now. I have no doubt about that. We're being tested to see just how much we'll take. Now, again, is there wisdom in not gathering in large groups at this point in time? Probably, yes. But we need to get through this, and we need to let people understand, no, we don't want to have our freedoms taken away from us. No, we don't want to go through this ever again. We'll find whatever vaccine we'll find, or cure, or treatments, or whatever it takes to get to the other side of this. This is where we're headed, and we're not going to stay in lockdown forever. We're not going to stay even in shutdown forever. We're going to come out on the other side. And my final statement, which is an observation, is this. There's another group that's being tested right now, and I submit to you that's the White House press corps. I want to tell you guys something. Here's an open letter to the White House press corps. You also are being tested. You also are being tried. And right now, you are being found wanting a lot, because although some national networks have decided not to air the national press conferences anymore from the White House, there are still a few on the internet who will air them in their entirety. And we can see you, White House press corps, and all the folks who are speaking into your little IFB in your ear with questions to ask. We see the questions you're asking. We know those things that you're throwing out there now. And the little sound bites that you're taking from the president or a doctor or the attorney general or the surgeon general or the vice president or whoever else that you want to make sound bites from, we know the questions you're asking, and we know the entirety of what they've said now, and not just the little 2.5 seconds worth of clip that you wanted to take to make somebody sound dumb. I'm a sports broadcaster. I've been doing sports for 20 years. Very proud of what I do, and I think I do my job well. But because of you, I'm considering of going full-time into the news. If for only to take one of your positions to means that one of you won't be there anymore to ask those asinine questions that you're asking, trying to get your face on the national news. I just want you to know that you also are being tested, you also are being tried, and you've come up wanting. But that's merely an observation. Anyway, I've had fun on the BCP Live tonight. Hope you guys have too. And wow, yeah, I have to get after the press every now and again. And I can do that because I guess I am the press at this point in time. But I promise to try to take a positive slant with what we're doing. Listen, the Bryan County Patriot. Wow, we've gone past in half an hour. Thanks for still being with me. If you're watching right now and you've been here since the beginning, shoot me an email and tell me why. Anyway, I appreciate you all for being here tonight. We will have some more guests on this week. It has been fun growing the Bryan County Patriot. We're wrapping up 3 years this month, and it's been a lot of fun for me. Actually, we're wrapping it up into May. Wow, I'm almost through April already, and we haven't even hit the midpoint yet. It's been a lot of fun for me. It's been so much fun getting to learn more about the businesses here in Bryan County and get to see folks in what you do, doing it even that much more. I'm thankful for all the times and all the time I've been employed by the church, and I'm still a full-time minister. That doesn't take away just because I'm not working for a church somewhere, but getting to meet you all and go where you all are and be where you are, it's a special thing. And I'm thankful to get to do it, and I don't ever take it lightly. So let's just continue to grow this thing together and grow this broadcast. I think it's a fun broadcast. Hopefully you're having fun along the way too, and we'll get some more guests on. Dottie, I'm going to keep on preaching, so I appreciate the cheering it on. And I've got a phone call for you tomorrow. I have something, as we talked about, texting-wise, so I'll get that to you tomorrow. Anyway, God bless you all. Be back tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Think about some of the things that we went over today and see if I need to, be wearing that tinfoil hat or not. I don't think so. Hey, there we go. I mean, I like the First Amendment up there and all, but I just wanted to throw all this out there to you. Anyway, I gave that whole speech to the media, and I did it from this little window down over there. Oh, my goodness. I have to do it again sometime. All right. God bless you all. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure and thank all the advertisers and sponsors for being a part of the Bryan County Patriot. I'm grateful for each and every one. See you tomorrow night at 9. God bless you. Have a great night.